Hi everyone, thanks for joining on time. So I think we'll begin the session now. So very good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for joining us today, both panelists as well as attendees. So welcome to our second PS21 Roadshow for Smart Port Challenge 2023, which is also known as SPC. So during the roadshow, we'll hear from our corporate sponsors who have contributed to the innovation opportunities towards this year's Smart Port Challenge. So my name is Jeline, and I am the Program Manager at PS21, and I will be moderating the session today. So a quick introduction to SPC in case you're not familiar. It's a flagship event of PS21, which stands for Port Innovation Ecosystem Reimagined at Blocks 21, and it's a program which is actually a collaboration between MPA as well as NUS Enterprise. So actually this year, we have 12 exciting innovation opportunities which are supported and championed by more than 20 maritime corporates as well as organizations. So how this roadshow will be run is that we'll hear more about the 2 innovation opportunities put forth by Jurong Port, and there'll also be time for questions and answers. So you may ask your questions through the Q&A box in the Zoom webinar. And how this would work is that we will cover one innovation opportunity followed by the Q&A, followed by the second innovation opportunity and Q&A. So the 2 innovation opportunities we'll be covering today. The first one is how can we streamline communication and have real-time operational overview of vessel activities in Jurong Port. And the second one would be improving cement removal processes. How can we remove cement residue in an automated, effective, and efficient manner? So today you'll be hearing from some of the colleagues at Jurong Port. So I would like to invite everyone to give a quick introduction about yourself as well as what you do at Jurong Port. Maybe you could start off with Florence. Florence, I think you're on mute.
Okay, I hope you can hear me now.
Yeah, perfectly fine.
Yeah, so today I'll be presenting on the first topic. So a brief introduction about me is that I'm currently in the digital process and digitalization department in Jurong Port. So basically, we are a team of project managers delivering the technical solutions, or maybe mainly it will be the home port transformation software solutions for Jurong Port. So alongside with me, I also have Jennifer, who is my teammate as well, who will be presenting on this one.
Jennifer, would like to give a quick introduction?
Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer. So as I guess Florence already covered, I come from the same team as here. We're also called Digital Solutions as well. Yeah.
Okay, Parik,
Hi, hi there. My name is Parikshit. I take care of the automation and mechanization in Jurong Port. So what we do is we create innovative solutions for problems on ground, both to obviously take care of the labor issues, increase productivity and safety standards in Jurong Port. Yeah.
Thank you so much for introducing yourself. So we'll actually start off with the first innovation opportunity, which is how we can streamline communication and have real-time operational overview of vessel activities in Jurong Port. So I'll give a quick introduction before I hand over the time to Jurong Port to share a little bit more. So Jurong Port is actually a multi-purpose port operator that provides berthing facilities for vessels and facilitates loading and unloading of cargo from ships. So however, ground staff overseeing terminal operations are looking for a more efficient way to communicate effectively with HQ managers, as well as to allow for timely intervention by managers to ensure the smooth flow of processes. So at present, real-time operations are being shared across multiple platforms repeatedly by different or same stakeholders, such as WhatsApp updates. And furthermore, for operational staff are providing the same operational updates on various platforms and its internal web applications, including Teams, calls, and emails. So with that, I think I hand over the time to Jurong Port to share in more detail.
Yes, thank you, Jeline, for the quick intro. Let me just share my screen.
Sorry.
Okay, so I think we're good to go.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, so again, my name is Jennifer from Jurong Port's Digital Solutions team along with Florence. So we'll be sharing on what we envision for the revamp of our vessel activity logging solution, as well as progress, what we call as a VAL in Jurong Port. So I'll start off with a brief introduction of Jurong Port before I hand over to Florence to share more on our problem statement. Yeah, so please feel free to type your questions into the chat box, then we'll cover them at the end during the Q&A section. Yeah, so just a brief intro of Jurong Port in general. We are one of 2 ports in Singapore alongside PSA. I think we are both regulated by the Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore, but unlike at PSA, we are a wholly owned subsidiary of JTC, while PSA comes under Temasek. So Jurong Port is the primary gateway for general and bulk cargo. So whereas PSA handles all the container cargo. Yeah, but for Jurong Port, other than our home port, we also have several other sites, including JPTT, JPUT that looks at liquid bulk, our OMC terminals that handles project cargo, Marina South Wharves, Penjuru lighter terminals handling ship supplies, and even overseas ventures in Marunda, Indonesia, and China as well. So as a multi-purpose port, we handle a wide variety of cargo from cement, sulfur, as well as general cargo, the various types of steels, MRT trains even, and livestock as well. So these are the things that comes through Singapore. Importantly, the majority of Singapore's cement and steel imports for our constructions industry comes through Jurong Port as well. Yeah, so to serve these diverse needs, we have a wide spectrum of infrastructure and operational activities that cater to the handling of these various types of cargoes. But regardless of the cargo types, there are certain vessel activities that cut across all operations in our home port. So from the pre-planning to the actual berthing, loading, unloading, and any activities in between. So VAL for us is a place where we want to log all this information and communicate this information across various teams as well as levels as well. So one thing that is very important to us is real-time communication across the port basically. So to ensure that information is timely so that any important decisions can be made on time as well. So with this, we come to the problem statement. Then I'll hand over to Florence to share in more detail. Florence?
Okay, thanks Jennifer for the sharing. So when we come to our problem statement, right, VAL, which stands for vessel activity logging, is where we want to target our problems at. But before that, right, I would like to bring our potential participants who might be interested in joining this challenge an overview on our operations from a high level basis, whereby, and when you see from this slide, right, we can see that actually we do start our process with alignment with the existing port policies we have today. With that, if a vessel requires to berth in Jurong Port, we will start off by pre-operations planning. So when the vessel has indicated their preference to berth with Jurong Port, we then ask for a lot of vessel documents, cargo documents from them, so that we can start our internal resource and operations planning. And with that, we go into deployment of planning, like what kind of resources can we deploy efficiently, based on like, okay, the manpower, the equipments to deploy, as well as the gears. Then we also have other ancillary resources that we'll need to plan in. Example, maybe sometimes a vessel is carrying a complex cargo that cannot be handled by equipment available in Jurong Port. We will then need to call in all these external resources. We also need to, we are also facing like manpower constraints in terms of the aging workforce that we have. So we also have to build a system in order for us to monitor the resources effectively. All these will come into play when the vessel actually berths in Jurong Port and then start the operations there. With that, right, all the communications will start by the stevedore first declaring the notification of operations and then tallying the cargo. So maybe next slide, please. So with this, right, there are a lot of stakeholders in play, right, just to get the just to ensure a successful vessel operations. We have the duty officer. We also have the officer on duty. We also have a control room station in Jurong Port. We have the manpower deployment officer. We also have operations controller monitoring on-ground operations. We also have external players such as the shipping agent coordinating the consignee information. We also have the stevedore who is carrying out the operations itself. We have the desktop checkers planning out what are the resources to be deployed. Then finally, we also have terminal managers who is also managing and toggling the resources in between the different vessels that have arrived in Jurong Port. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and with 8 people, right? The number of 8 different parties. There are various communication channels required just to coordinate between 2 person, 3 person, or 4 person for a single activity alone. Because when we look at the vessel operations end to end, right, from the start all the way to the end, there can be hundreds of activities. A simple vessel can have maybe just under 50 activities, but a vessel staying more than a few days will experience at least 100 over activities, and for each activity they will need to coordinate with each other, either through messaging on Kaizala, WhatsApp, Microsoft Teams, or phone calls, or through emails, just to get the activity approved and to get it done. So our key problem here is that there's a lot of time spent by our Jurong Port staff trying to consolidate and updating the information to each of the working stakeholder and to the management. And when we want to search for information afterwards, it's quite hard, honestly, because people update in different format, basically free text. So maybe for crane breakdown, some people type crane breakdown fully, but another person can type crane spoil. Then there are also different language literacy levels that we have to deal with as well. So we are thinking, how can we do this better? Okay, maybe, yeah. So the next slide will be just to share with the participants here, what is the ideal user journey that we have or we have envisioned in mind that we would like to build to our end state. So as we start off, right, we've divided the whole user journey from the start of the vessel operations to the end of the vessel operations. We can see that there are 4 key sections here: pre-vessel arrival, first shift to the subsequent shift until post-ATU. By ATU here, it means actual time of unberthing. And the unberthing just means that the vessel has departed. So if you look at it from left to right, what we envision is that a group chat should be created among all the stakeholders prior to the vessel arrival, so they can start the vessel deployment, the resources deployment. And then we would like to have an automated working checklist for the working level in order to complete their activities, for them to update the information through our vessel stay. Because the challenge that we are facing here is that we have ABCD activities, ABCD to update, but another person may forget. So person 1 may forget, and then they probably will only update 2, 3, 4, update BCD instead of ABCD. So this is what we want to implement. Then in the next activity before the vessel arrives, we would like to publish the resource deployment information to the group chat. So we can see here, right, even in the first 3 steps, right, we would like the mobile application or mobile communication platform to be able to do a few things. One is a single touch point to consolidate vessel update information to a single touch point, and 2, to publish information to across all the stakeholders. So if we go to step D, right, the person will start updating the information from just one touch point. Then they will be regularly reminded to complete your checklist, everything from A to D. Okay, then move on to F, it's the same. Then we have when the vessel first arrived, the person will then start to submit the vessel updates. Then they get reminded again, then they will need to, or we will need to publish the information again. Then when it comes to step G, in the case that there are high priority vessel updates, things that cause a vessel to stop their operations, it will require us to automatically notify the operations management. So some kind of a priority feature in place, priority notification in place. Then we will also like the communication platform to be able to publish a fixed summary report of the vessel activities to the group chat, because today our people are doing it manually themselves. So same goes to the next activity I, which is H and I. Both of them are the same actually. We'd like them to publish a summary report of opening and taking over of the vessel. Okay, so all the way at the end, right, it's also the same thing lah. So we would like to publish the overall report and statement of facts to a group chat and all the stakeholders. So all these reports are also important in terms of the audit compliance, for everyone to acknowledge that this activity has been completed and acknowledge that the receiving party has also acknowledged that this activity has been completed. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so what I've described just now, right, are the key user journey that we like to achieve. To put in place what we would like to have as our deliverables is 1, a mobile communication platform with broadcasting, working checklist, and geo-messaging abilities extended from our existing terminal operating system. So today these functionalities to update the information are not new, but what we want to do is to bring it to a step further, to elevate it further, so that we only update the information from one single touch point. The second point is this will be more of a partnership between ourselves and the person doing the user experience design, for us to modify the procedure for the operation staff to observe and oversee the completeness of updates. Then lastly, there is we want to automate the generation of summary reports. So this is what I have mentioned just now, is for compliance, to ensure that the person doing it and the person receiving the information has both acknowledged that this activity has completed and is duly signed off. So with this presentation, right, I think we have come to a conclusion for our problem statement for vessel activity logging. Thank you.
Thank you, Florence and Jennifer, for sharing. So I think I could actually start with one question. Thanks so much for sharing. It's actually in a lot of detail. You even brought across the stakeholders that they will be working with. Just wanted to ask, right, for our participants here who may not yet be in the maritime industry, maybe you could give a little bit more background into these stakeholders and how they interact with each other. I know you did briefly share about the 8 of them, but I think it'd be good if you can share a little bit more for context.
Okay. Trouble Jennifer to go back. Yeah. So here, right, I didn't do a differentiation on who are the external and who are the internal users. But basically, how do they interact with each other? For internal users, right, mainly they go by call, email, MS Teams chats. So for important communications that require approval, it will require email approval. But for offline working communications, mainly they go by phone calls or WhatsApp chats lah. Then for specific vessels that are of more importance to us, which we may share later when we have an actual engagement. Then we do have WhatsApp chats set up between the internal and external users, including the shipping agent, the stevedore SLO, to communicate together in one single WhatsApp group chat. So today that WhatsApp group chat contains a lot of information for the vessel arrival to the operations and to until the vessel departs. So within that, right, we will share things such as, okay, we need a few more equipment to be deployed. Then whether the stevedore SLO will be whether the stevedore will request for more equipment to be deployed, and the agent will then arrange for the equipment to be paid off, and then the SMC officer will then arrange for the smooth delivery of the equipment. So we can see that there are a few coordination between the internal and external players, but if there are some internal decisions to be made, right, they usually go through WhatsApp or email.
Okay, thanks for sharing. Just want to understand a little bit more on this. Have there been previous solutions that have been tried, or maybe you can share some of its successes and maybe some of the gaps that solution providers should take note of? I mean, this is a very important thing. I also want to know that the solution providers know what to look out for as well.
Okay, so what we have implemented previously is actually an online system, a web-based system that allows us to update a certain fixed set of structured information to our TOS system. However, this one has proved to be quite standalone. So while it's successful in terms of ensuring that there is structured data, but it's never enough, because that data is not disseminated to many people. And then so end up we have built a system whereby we do update the data. However, the person updating the data will need to update back to the WhatsApp chat in order to disseminate the information to other stakeholders. So this is the problem that we are facing today, and we would like to in our next development of things, we would like to solve this problem now.
Thanks so much for sharing. I think you also shared a slide on ideal user journey, right? Just want to understand maybe how long how long it's currently taking, and so the startup can know, like for example, it's 30 minutes, and if the startup can cut it to maybe 10 minutes, that shows the efficiency of it. So just want to understand, how long this takes and what would be an ideal time frame to get it from start to the end.
We don't have a time frame for now because every vessel arrival is different. But if we were to drill down, what are the potential time savings that we can achieve for each of the activity that can be done? If I just zoom into publishing the information, summary report of vessel activities to group chat, this by itself, we have one of our team members, not our team members, the operation team members are consolidating this information manually from everywhere around our terminal operating system. So this by itself, if we get a feature to automate the publishing of this thing, it can be an instant. However, to consolidate this information manually, usually these people, they take hours to consolidate the info.
Thanks so much for sharing. I think we are hitting near the halfway point. So maybe we will jump on to the next innovation opportunity. If there are further questions, I'm happy to address them at the end as well. So I would like to invite Parik to share a little bit more. But before that, I will give a quick context to the innovation opportunity. So the innovation opportunity is improving cement removal process. So how can we remove cement residue in an automated, effective, as well as efficient manner? So cement carrier vessels actually play a really significant role in transporting cement, which is a key building material for construction of infrastructure. But however, during unloading of the cement from vessels, there's often leftover residue, which might be difficult to remove because of complex and non-standard structures within the cargo holds, which make these residues very difficult to be accessed. So however, currently high pressure jets are being used to reach the odd corners of the cargo, but it actually might create more dust and manual scrubbing, which is required as well. So this is something that takes a rather long time, as well as requires a lot of manpower as well. So I'll be handing over the time to Parik and Chung to share a little bit more.
Okay, hi there. I hope I'm audible here.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Are you able to see my screen? See my
Yeah, we can see your screen as well.
Great. So I'll just give a quick introduction first to what we're going to share. We'll be sharing about the context of cargo handling in Jurong Port, which roughly Jennifer has also covered. And then we'll talk about an overview of cement terminal, how the cargo has been currently handled. Then we move on to the introduction of the problem itself, then the problem statement, and then we have time for Q&A. So in terms of the context, I think like what was shared earlier, Jurong Port is pretty much a critical node in terms of the industrial supply chain. So apart from a lot of other cargoes being handled, which was previously shared as well, we support 3 key industries in terms of construction, shipbuilding, and oil and gas and stuff. So one of the critical cargoes we handle is cement. So we'll move on to the cement terminal itself. So what Jurong Port does is we handle about 90% of Singapore's consumption here. And how it works is you can see here, it's a cross section of our cement terminal in a nutshell. There's cement inside the hatch, which is shown here with a wheel loader and workers there inside, which is typically unloaded to a level of maybe 80% through kind of remotely operated unloaders, which is the kind of the crane that you see. It is a screw type unloader. It kind of sucks the cement from this vessel hatch and then brings over to different air slides going to the customer silos. So this is the normal process. But after a while, when it reaches the bottom 10 to 20%, where it becomes a bit difficult for the structure to actually, or rather the cement unloader, to go and reach odd corners, that is where we actually introduce a wheel loader to then push the cargo and then create a heap of cement and then use the unloader again. But after a while, even that becomes impossible. That is where the workers go in, they kind of sweep the cement from the odd corners because we want the vessel to be cleaned up. And then it is again pushed to into a bin from where again the cement unloader kind of sucks it. So I'll share more photos later, but to put things into the context of scale, we handle about 5.5 to 5.6 million tons annually, about 140 ships or vessels, we call them. And what the problem statement we are talking about here is about 2,800 man hours of just pure trimming. This is our focus of the problem statement we're going to talk about. And if we can cut down on this timing, what it does is it kind of helps us eliminate the dependency of manpower and at the same time reduce the trimming hours. So that's something that we'll be looking at. So we'll talk about the problem itself. I'm not sure whether Chung, you're in. You want to take us through or?
Hello.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So I would like to let's bring the team scope through the trimming process. Okay. So there will be a 3 stage of our trimming process. So the first stage is the tractor. That means it's just now Parik have mentioned that when the cement cargo is low, so the unloader is not effective to bring the cements up to the silo. So in this case, we need to bring down the tractor. So the tractor is to push all the cements near to the unloader, so you can have a continuous suctions of the cements go into the silo. All right. So the second stage is when the cement level is really very low already. So there's a lot of corner frames that are the wheel loader is not able to push up, so that we need to let the workers go down to the hatch. I think usually it depends on the vessel side. Sometimes it's 3, maximum will be 7. So when they are at the hatch area, so they need to use a boom to sweep off all the corners, the frames. So this takes quite a long time. At the same time, after the sweeping, right, you can see the wheel loader have to scoop out all the cements, throw into the bin. All right. This is the true process. So currently, what we want to factor is the stage 2. All right. So hopefully that we can have some innovative solutions to reduce the manpower, go inside the hatch to ship the cements. That is our objective for today. So as you can see that there are different areas, different batch profile. All right. So it's not easy to have a single equipment or to solve all the batch profile to clean up all the cements. So now we still depend on a lot of humans to go into the hatch. All right. So at the same time, you also can see that sometimes the cements, right, the vessel will arrive at Jurong Port and the cements there will be hardened cements stuck at the ribs. So in this case, right, those workers right need to use special tools to loosen all these hardened cements, all right, in order for the wheel loader to scoop up right, into the bin and then our loaders to discharge it. From this picture, you can see that the worker is using a broom to sweep. At the same time, you can see that the environment is very dusty. Right? And we also got various types of profile of the vessel walk. Okay, some of them have a double anchor, as you can see, and a lot of them have a high slope. So even a wheel loader is also unable to reach that slope. So as you can see that from the profile, right, we have collected that more than 77% of the slope is more than 2 meters. Okay, so that is a challenge to us.
Yeah, I think just to chip in at this point in time, I would like to kind of have a word of caution to all the participants here. The vessel profile keeps changing, and I think this was just a snapshot of the data from Feb to May this year. And in this timing, we had 70% of vessels which are actually having a slope that is more than 2 meters high, up to 4 meters. But there at times, we have data from the older years that shows it's 2 meters or even very flat kind of box vessels. So that keeps on changing, and the solution needs to adapt to that. So I think that's something you all need to take note of.
Yes, these are false statements. In fact, we would like to, our objective is to reduce the trimming manpower by 60% or more. Right? As you can see, the currents are using at least seven staff to clean out the cement. At the same time, it takes about 6.5 hours. All right. We hope that we can reduce at least 60% of manpower. At the same time, we can cut down the number of hours.
Yeah, so I think this is to just set the context of what we kind of desire from this project is to really cut down on the manpower itself, because the lesser the man in the hatch, the better the safety and also the productivity. So that's something we are really focused on. So this is a key requirement from our side.
And this is the pictures that show up after cleaning up the hatch profile. Okay, you can see that there is the standard that the ship captain expected after cleaning.
Yeah, so I think in this picture itself, we can see on the one left where the vessel wall is really vertical. It's really 90-degree angle. And so again, the changing profile is one of the challenge we face.
Okay, the key delivery for this project, as just I mentioned, that we'd like to achieve about 60% of the manpower saving. Okay, and the solution should be able to deploy in our cement environment. Okay, as you know that the cement environment is very dusty. All right. Also, at the same time, it's also able to reach all the corner. At the same time, to adapt to very type of vessel profile. So these equipments or these solutions should be less than 20,000. Because you need to use a shift saw cranes to shift to leave the equipment into the ship hatch. All right. So these are the key areas that we need to take notes. All right.
So what we have done here is to kind of summarize. We have put a broad context to it. So we do not want to kind of limit your imagination in terms of solutioning. But there are a few key working principles we need to adhere to. For example, like what we have discussed here is 20 ton for the equipment to be lifted in. So we usually use a vessel crane, which has a limit of about 25 tons typically to lift something from the wharf side into the hatch. So that's where this parameter comes into the picture. And that's important because we do not want you to design something that is very heavy, although it may work fantastically, but we cannot lift it inside. So that's a pretty important operational context we need to set. And again, the pictures that you've seen, because pictures really speak 1,000 words, and you know exactly what we want in terms of how the vessel looks before the trimming and after the trimming. So these are the kind of quality standards we expect. And of course, the challenges is what we have shared with you. The manpower savings is critical to us because of productivity and again, labor dependency. So as we move along, in our journey for operation and automation, we've noticed that people obviously are not willing to take up such jobs. There'll be a point in time where nobody wants to do this job and it still needs to get done. So that's where this automation and your solutions will be helpful to us. If there are any questions, we are ready to take in.
Thanks so much, Parry and Cheng, for sharing. I think you actually gave a lot of context. So I think something that'd be good if you can elaborate a little bit more, especially for startups that are not yet in the maritime sector, what they should take note of when working, like reimagine their technology for a maritime sector versus in a port environment as well.
Okay. I think the key things that when you develop some solutions, okay, the first thing is what I mentioned, that the cement, the profile inside a vessel hatch, when you are cleaning up the cement, there will be a lot of dust. All right. If you are designing certain equipments that are very sensitive to dust, that is one of the areas that you need to avoid. All right. At the same time, as what just Parry had mentioned, the weight is also one of the concerns. All right.
All right, do you
Yeah. Sorry, one more point to add in. Typically, we want these to be independently run. So whether it's diesel or batteries or whatever, because we do not have power supplies to these equipment that is drawing from the vessel. So it is best that they are driven. Yeah.
Also to follow up, because I think you alluded to the technologies that you have previously tried. Just want to understand a little bit more, what worked well and what can be done better. So when solution providers, reimagine their solution for this innovation opportunity, they know like, okay, this works. What can I do to ensure that it works well in this environment?
Cheng, you want to take that or?
Okay. In fact, currently we are trying to look for a few solutions. In fact, we have one solution is using a wheel roller to attach a brush to brush the hatch. All right. In fact, these solutions was developed during that period of time is because our cement vessel is all box type of profile, so it is effective to brush it. But throughout the years, the profiles keep changing. So the effectiveness of this wheel roller brush is not that much, not so to the point because of the profile change of the vessel. So in fact, we are also looking at some other innovations. Maybe I can just thinking about it to be using a barbator to barbate the vessel hatch wall to get a cement for, or something like vacuum system. Okay, but there is also will be facing some challenge. For example, vacuum, we may need some clean air or something. So I need the industry guys, talents to come in so that the innovative solutions to help us.
Thanks for sharing. I see we have a question in the chat. So for the first challenge statement, okay, so I think Florence actually answered. So actually the question was, are you looking more towards building a communication platform or also a system that can help monitor vessel activities for port generation? And Florence has kindly replied that, they are actually looking for both. So actually do keep the questions coming because it's a rare opportunity to, hear answers from Jurong Port. Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing, Florence. Actually, if there are no further questions, I think we can wrap up this session soon. So to wrap up this session, just would like all the speakers, to share, take a take-home point for our audiences here. Cheng, would you like to start? I think you were on mute just now. Couldn't hear you.
Yep. Okay. I think we are open to any solutions. All right. At the same time, you can bounce any ideas to us. Maybe we can discuss further in future. All right. So that's my thing that it's just an open mindset to accept any solution.
All right. Any final words? Any final words for our audience today?
We are good from our side.
Okay. Florence, Jennifer, any final words before we close this session?
Maybe just for the participants, right? Don't be afraid to propose to us different solutions. We will evaluate them together and then we see what is the best way moving forward. And we look forward to what you have in mind for us if you're interested in working together.
Thanks, Lawrence. Jennifer?
Yeah, nothing much from me. Yeah, but I do see one more question in the chat if we want to answer it.
Oh yes, we do have a question. So the question is, person would like to understand more about monitoring the vessel activities. Are they all through CCTVs, AI, or something that is manually extracted from systems?
Okay, understand. So monitoring the vessel activities, right? Actually, they do come from various sources. So by various sources, I mean that some people will be on site to update the vessel activities live. Some of it actually can come from the CCTV's AI, which are trained to identify certain activities. Then it can also yeah. So it's a combination of both. So we can have system updated activities or like human updated activities.
Thanks, Lawrence, for asking. If there are no more questions, I would like to thank all our speakers for your support today, as well as taking the time to share with the audience as well. So for startups who are joining us today, we really encourage you to put forth your proposals. So actually, go ahead, our slides on the screen, please.
Hi, Jolene. Sorry. Could I interject? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Cynthia here. So pretty much with Florence and Jennifer, Parika and Cheng, all my colleagues. Just in terms of, thank you very much for attending this session. Can see that quite a number have registered their interest. So we hope to see some creative solutions out of it. In terms of the first problem statement, I do see quite a few questions on it, right? So just to set a little bit of context on what we are trying to do. The integration model is we are trying to pull information through various sources and various means. So which means unstructured, semi-structured, as well as structured information. So feel free to propose various integration models as well. However, a caveat is the tech stack that needs to be used, right, should be Java-based. And feel free to propose an alternative. However, there should be a Java-based foundation first before you layer it up. I think that's something that we wanted to outline from the beginning itself, so that the teams here could be more, get a little bit more idea in terms of where, what are some of the criteria for the foundational elements on the technical side of things. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Yeah.
Thank you, Cynthia, for sharing as well. So before I close, I'd like to actually invite all the panelists to turn on your camera so we can take a photo. Yeah. Okay, let's take a photo. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I think that's great. So thank you everyone for joining us today. So for the startups who are here, we really encourage you to put forth your proposals and we will consider them, and you could have the opportunity to work with Jurong Port on this. So thank you so much for everyone's time. So maybe we could get our slides on the screen. Okay, so what should you do next? I'd like to remind you, deadline for applications is the end of this month on 31st of July. If you'd like to explore and get more details on Jurong Port's innovation opportunities, you can scan the QR code on the left. And also, if you're interested in applying for other innovation opportunities, there's more information there as well. We will also be hosting other roadshows and Ask Me Anything sessions to the end of July, so you can learn more about the innovation opportunities. So can I have move back one slide, please? Yeah, so we're having our next Ask Me Anything session on 4th of July. You'll be hearing more about the problem statement from PSA. And we also do have another one on 7th July, Friday, which will cover the 2 innovation opportunities from MPA, which is the wireless connectivity in port waters challenge, as well as the black smoke emissions. So if you're interested, do register via Eventbrite, and we'll be happy to see you as well. So you can actually scan the QR code to look forward to these 2 AME and roadshows, as well as the other roadshows that we have lined up for you. Yeah, so for our startups who get accepted into the program and moving on to the next stage, you'll be participating in the Accelerate program, where you'll be able to get more interactions, more networking opportunities, visit different testing environments, as well as speaking to your mentors or domain experts. So to stay tuned for more updates, do continue to follow us on LinkedIn, as well as join our mailing list. So once again, thank you to our panelists and as well as our attendees, and have a great afternoon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Thank you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.